Hello everyone, welcome to another Versus video. I am Braun-Duin. I'm joined by
CVM, and we are battling some sweet standard action.
Yep.
With decks from the top 8 of the last Open in bright and sunny Indianapolis this last weekend. I am on the green-white deck that Andrew Shrout was able to take all the way to the finals and eventually lost to newcomer Owen Turtenwald to the game. I don't think he's placed very high many times, so congratulations on his win.
Yep.
And you're playing a...
I am playing a red-white tokens deck that also made the top 8. Pretty interesting deck featuring Young Pyromancer, Perforos, a bunch of burn spells, some Chandra's Phoenixes, and the like. And I just want to say I'm pretty familiar with the green-white deck that CVM's playing, as I did get destroyed by it. So.
Oh, yeah. Now, I actually lost to Andrew Shrout in the Swiss as well, so our green-red monsters deck was very well prepared for
losing to the green-white deck.
The metagame expected of Desecration Demon, Master of Waves, and Detention Sphere, but Skylasher and Boon Satyr really kicked our butts.
Yeah, we did. Banisher Priest did a number on us. So.
Now, we do have a special treat. We are actually playing, as you can see here, for this very awesome penguin pin from Star City Games. So the winner of this Versus video is going to actually take that pin and wear it proudly on our breastplate.
I'm going to interrupt for a quick second and say that I noticed you have some zombie sleeves, CVM.
I do have some zombie sleeves.
I'm pretty sure I next leveled you because I went for the penguin sleeves. And we're playing for a penguin pin.
You are, but...
So I'm pretty much locked to win it.
Penguins are scared of zombies. Maybe you might not know that.
It's just kind of like cowards can't block warriors.
Correct.
Penguins can't block
Penguins
zombies.
Can't block zombies.
All right.
Now, where you can actually get these pins is from select IQs.
Yep.
There can be up to 2 that will be given out in IQ. And to find out... if these pins are going to be available at any IQs in your area, you can go ahead and check with your local game store, speak with the owner, as well as you can find out where all of the IQs are in your area by going on to the event finder on the StarCityGames.com homepage.
Yeah, and playing in IQs is also a good way to get points. If you get 15 points, you can qualify for an invitational. If you win an IQ, you automatically qualify for an invitational.
And they even have super and elite IQs where they give out 2 and 4 slots for the invitationals.
Yeah, so IQs are a pretty awesome way to... If you're interested in playing in the Invitational, which I think you should be because it's one of the best tournaments there are, pretty much there, period. Talking is also very difficult, but I do think that IQs are a great way to try to get into the Invitational, and I think it's worth trying. So
absolutely. Plus, if you already have a bunch of points and you want to get more points to try and qualify for this little thing called the Players' Championship, IQs are going to be a good way to go. I actually recently won a Super IQ, traveling around trying to grind out those points so that in the end I can still lose to BBD and Huey Jensen.
So that's pretty lucky. That's pretty lucky.
That is pretty lucky. Now, so we've got the Penguin token. This is what the winner's going to get. Yeah. And we do have an extra special treat. So as a custom, we normally play the basic land game to decide who gets to choose to be on the player of the draw.
This time we're going to play the basic token game.
The basic token game. So we have the 5 new tokens that were released this weekend. BBD is the Germ, Evan as the Elemental for Voice, William Jensen is the Giant Warrior for Giant Baiting, Ari Lax is the Fairy Rogue from Bitter Blossom, and myself for Young Pyromancer as the 1/1 Elemental. And so it's going to be the basic land game, exactly the same as before, but with the tokens. So we're going to roll here. Even I'm going to pick. Odd, it's just going to be random. Leave it up to chance. Oh, so odd is going to be random. You're not going to get a read on me this time.
That's unfortunate because... There's a number of different levels here. Does CVM pick his own token? Does he pick my token? Do I get leveled?
I actually was discussing this before we started recording, and I was actually 100% going to pick your token.
Oh, interesting, because I would have snapped it off. So.
Oh, man. All right, so we've got 5 here. We're going to roll.
4.
Number 4.
All
1,
right.
2, 3. 4 is the token.
All right.
And you get 3 guesses.
Braun-Duin.
Nope.
Dang it. All right. William Jensen.
What? Come on.
Giant. That was a giant successful pick. All right.
Why you do me wrong?
I will be on the play. And this hand is a little awkward. This hand's not exactly the best thing we've ever seen. In fact, it's a little gross, but I still think it's a keep. So I think this card's really good against him. So we're going to hopefully get there on the back of that gentleman's portly body. I guess you might want to...
Now, I am also going to keep.
Okay.
We need to draw a couple lands, but this hand is awesome. So.
All right, Mountain, go.
18, experiment 1, your turn.
All right, we already got him at 18, right where we want him.
He's winning the race.
We're just gonna play a Mountain and say go.
All right, well, that was definitely a good draw for us. So we'll play
lucky.
a Plains Voice of Resurgence, trigger,
Sure.
battle for dose.
I'm also at 18.
And it'll be your turn.
All right.
I smell a Boros Reckoner.
Yeah, that is correct. Reckoner's coming down. Please do not banish him. I will be very unhappy if you banish him.
I will banish your priest, your Boros Reckoner.
All right.
Of course, and I'll attack you for 4. Now this is the 2/2. This is the 2/2. I don't get a trigger, unfortunately, but that's okay.
It'd be nice if you just, would not have it. But I guess we can't all get what we want. I'm gonna play a Chandra's Phoenix and say go. Chandra's Phoenix hanging back on D, just where Chandra's Phoenix likes to be.
So we draw for our turn, and I think that. So we have these, and these are going to be the best way for us to push through some damage. Now it's all because I have this, and this is actually something that's very interesting. So last turn, I should have shocked myself with this instead of playing the forest, so that I could mask my play for this turn. And I didn't realize until now that I should have done that. And that's actually something that you wrote about before in the past, as far as when you're using your shock lands and you're going to be shocking yourself, you want to do it early on to try and mask your plays. So I'm going to shock myself to 16.
Yep.
And then I'm going to go to combat, and I'm going to attack you with these 2 creatures.
Okay. Well, it's pretty clear that he has an Advent of the Worm.
Which is, now if I had shocked myself last turn, I could have just played a forest and hit it a lot better.
Yeah, so he has an Advent of the Worm, definitely, which is a little awkward because we can't really profitably block here at all. Like, if we block Experiment 1, he plays Advent. His Experiment 1's going to grow. We lose our Phoenix. And if we block the Voice of Resurgence, it's going to die and trigger the Experiment 1 to level up yet again and give him a massive Voice token. So we're not really getting anywhere by doing that either. But we're also not really doing ourselves any favor by not blocking because we're going to take 1,000,000 points of damage. However, I think we just have to not block here. So.
All right. Well, I will Advent.
All right.
Upgrade this man.
Yep. So we're going to take 5 and go to 9.
And then I'll pass the turn.
Unfortunately, his draw has been pretty absurd, which means we are probably not likely to win this game, to say the very least. So. I think our best bet here is to play another Chandra's Phoenix and pass the turn. We need to not die this turn, basically.
Now, the way this game is playing out is, when you're playing linear aggressive decks like this, a lot of times you'll keep a hand that'll have a bunch of awesome spells and just a couple of lands, knowing that really all you need to do is just draw, a couple lands, and your hand is just much better. So at this point, we obviously are going to attack. I don't think it's worth sending in the Banisher Priest yet, because I don't really want him to get his Boros Reckoner back. So I think that I'm just going to combat, and then we'll attack with these 3 creatures. Now, we definitely had a couple options on if we wanted to play any spells pre-combat here, but I don't think we want to. We just want to put as much pressure on him as possible.
So we're basically dead to anything he has, so essentially there's no point in playing around anything because we can't beat anything. So I think our best bet here is to just activate Mutavault and just gang block this thing. If he has something, we're going to lose, but we're losing to it anyway, so there's no reason to play around it.
So I would just have another Advent.
Okay, that's pretty bad too.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to
take 6.
Yeah, we drop
go to 3. We're going to kill the Mutavault and a Phoenix.
Okay.
And then it will be your turn.
I'm pretty sure there's nothing I could possibly draw here. And Boros Guildgate.
Definitely
Probably not it. So
the droid you're looking for.
We're dead. All right, we are back for the second game. That one was pretty bad.
Oh, you didn't draw a single burn spell against my deck full of creatures. So.
Yep. Speaking of pretty bad, this 7 non-lander is gonna get shipped back.
Well, mine has lands and spells that are all awesome, so I'm gonna keep them.
All right, better 6. Come on, 6.
Can we get a 5 chant? Would that be bad form?
Well, it's definitely a 5er. My first 2, the first 2 are these. So
oh no!
You see where that one?
Oh.
All right, can we get a 5 chant started here? Keep on 5. Keep on 5. All right. Yeah, I mean, like, this hand is really bad, but we really, like, we're not going to win on a multi-4 on the play against this, especially since I don't think this is a good matchup for us. So, like, we have to just, this hand is fine if we draw lands. So
sometimes
we have to,
you got to get lucky.
We have to hope to draw lands. So you're up.
All right, your turn. I don't have a 1-drop.
Go.
Oh no. All right. Go ahead. I'm going to play that one over the other 2-drop I have, just so that I'm able to get a creature if he does have a removal spell.
All right. I'm going to scry, and it's this, and I'm keeping it on the top because it produces mana. So you're up.
All right. Well, we will attack.
I will drop to 18.
We will play a land and shock ourselves.
You were also at 18.
We'll play Soldier and a Fleecemane Lion and then pass.
Okay. All right, so we are actually still completely in this game, which is pretty sweet.
Here's where an Anger of the Gods at your sideboard would be backbreaking.
So what we're going to do is we're going to play Young Pyromancer. And now... we can cast this. Let's see, we're going to take a lot of damage next turn, right? I think I'm just going to hope that he doesn't have an Advent of the Worm, since I don't think we can beat that card. And I'm going to play a Chain to the Rocks on his... I think we get his Voice of Resurgence, since that's going to be the hardest one to kill. Normally I'd want to save this for an Advent of the Worm, but we can't afford to take as much... We can't afford to take 7 damage next turn. And hopefully he doesn't have Advent. We're going to say go.
All right.
But our hand's actually fine at this point if his hand isn't like the nuts, the complete nut.
So we've drawn a couple land, so it's diluted the value of our hand a little bit, but we still have some pretty powerful spells. Here I have to decide if I just want to attack, offer a trade, which I don't think that he would take, but then we can either follow up with this or this. But I think I like following up with this, and then which allows us to do this and keep this available to save something if we want to. So I think that I'm just going to attack.
All right, so I'm not going to block. I'm going to take it. I'm going to go to 13.
And then I'll play a land. And then I'll pass the turn.
All right. So he's definitely representing Advent of the Worm here, which is very much unfortunate for us. But there really isn't a whole lot we can do about it. So we can cast this, but it doesn't actually do anything for us. We're better off casting this and either forcing a spell out of his hand or killing one of his guys. So we're gonna start by trying to do that. I'm gonna cast Mizzium Mortars on Fleecemane Lion and place Chris VanMeter onto the battlefield.
You got a Chris VanMeter.
I do.
All right. You have 3 cards?
Yep.
So I think that I just let this happen.
Okay. And then we're just going to pass the turn.
All right, and step all Advent.
Yep. I wish you could have just not had it one time.
All right, now we draw. All right, so here I think that we want to just...
Feels like a Banisher Priest.
Banisher Priest, the Young Pyromancer.
Yep.
And then... I don't really want to attack with the Soldier, because then he can just block with his 1/1. So I'm just going to attack with the Worm.
Alright, I got an 8.
And I'm not going to cast this, because I want to hold this up as protection. And I'll pass.
Alright, so we could... I think Chain to the Rocks or Boros Reckoner is really where we're at right now. That's probably fine as well, to be honest. Ugh. Not that useful at the moment, but... We're at 8 right now.
Mm-hmm. So 8 to 18 on Brian's mulligan to 5.
Yeah, so we can cast either of these two. I think we're better off just... I mean, he's definitely like representing a Celestia Charm, but he would do that even if he didn't have one, so... I have to think if we're just straight dead to a Celestia Charm. So, like, this is an actual way to kill that Worm token at some point in the game, but the issue lies in that we may not be able to untap again if we cast this. And I think that we have to play this and play it a little safer. So I'm gonna go ahead and War Leader's Helix. I guess I should wait probably. No, I should do it now in case he has double charm. But I'm going to War Leader's Helix or Banisher Priest. Get back my Pyromancer, and I go to 12.
And I'll gain a life off Soldier.
Okay, so you're at 19. And we're just going to pass the turn.
So... I think that I'm just still going to sit on this for now. All right, so at this point, I think that our best bet is just to keep turning guys sideways.
All right, well, we're going to block that guy there and not block the Worm.
All right, take 5.
So I'm at 7.
And we'll play this guy.
Okay.
And this guy.
Sure.
And then it'll be your turn.
All right. Draw.
This was the same problem that I ran into when I played against Andrew with the green-red deck, is he would just get an Advent of the Worm in play, and I just felt on the back foot the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I didn't mulligan to 5, I could have a full 7, I still would just be on the back foot.
All right, I'm going to Mizzium Mortars Experiment 1 and trigger Young Pyromancer.
Let's see here. So that is fine.
Okay. And I am going to just pass the turn.
All right. So that was a very good draw, and I think he's just dead. I'll attack.
Yeah, I mean, we're not winning the game if we... I mean, we just have to do this. I don't think we're winning, and let's see, we could draw like a Boros Reckoner. I think we just have to hope he has nothing. I don't think we're winning the game otherwise, so I'm going to block like this.
Yeah, I have the charm.
Yep, I'm dead.
And then I drew a second charm, so it was just...
Yeah. All right, we are here for sideboarding. I guess before we sideboard, I want to mention that like CVM and I had a little discussion about the end of the last game where... one line that I could have taken was to Magma Jet his Soldier of the Pantheon, which, since it's protection from multicolored, he can't Celestia Charm it. I'm guaranteed to be able to kill it with the Magma Jet.
Mm-hmm.
And I get another token and the ability to scry, and I can gang block his Advent of the Worm and basically like even if he has double charm, I don't die that turn. So like that's one way I could have possibly survived that turn. However, I don't think that that's the right line to take because if he just has a follow-up creature or anything else, I'm just going to lose the game. And even, for example, even if you did have double charm, you can just make 2 knights and kill me. So I just want to point out that that was one line I could take to not die that turn, but I think that overall...
Still in a losing position.
Yeah, overall I think it's the wrong line. I think I just had to play as though you didn't have it. Anyway, as for sideboarding, unfortunately I'm siding out a lot of the cards that make this deck pretty sweet. The Perforoses and the Assembled Legions. And I'm also siding out Chandra and a Magma Jet. The reason being, we're pretty much never going to be using our burn spells at him, so it's going to be like very hard for us to trigger a way to get back our Chandra's Phoenixes. And as a 2/2 for 3, they're not particularly good against the deck. They don't really trade with anything, and we're not really going to be nearly aggressive enough to make use out of the haste that it provides. Similarly, I had Perforos in my hand both of those games and it did nothing. It's going to be very hard to get Devotion for this card when our Boros Reckoners have to trade pretty much every time they're on the battlefield, and especially for siding on Chandra's Phoenix. And outside of that, the damage he's doing is not that relevant against this deck. So I think Perforos has to go. Assemble the Legion is just way too slow. And then Magma Jet is the last cut. I think is probably the worst burn spell because it only does 2 damage, which isn't good enough against the likes of Fleece Mainline and so forth.
Yeah.
It's still a good card though. Banisher Priest is really good against us. Having answers to that card is important, but
you're bringing in more answers.
I'm bringing in more answers. I think this is the worst of them. And as for what we're keeping, or what we're bringing in, more Chain to the Rocks, obviously very good card against this deck, and Advent of the Worm, as we saw both games, is really the card that beats us, and Chained is a way to deal with it. Glare, a good answer to Voice of Resurgence, Fleetsmane Lion, Banisher Priest, etc. Mm-hmm. And then Anger the God, same thing, very good against his explosive draws, and gives us a chance to come back. Stormbreath Dragon has protection from white, which is key, and is also actually a way to kill him, which we could struggle with, considering how big his creatures are and they're hard to really attack him through. So I think having access to more Stormbreath is good, and I also think Elspeth's very good against green-white in general. The +1 makes it very difficult for them to attack without having a Celestia Charm. Really is the only card that lets them attack through Elspeth. And the -3 is actually very good against the deck as well. And then another Mizium Mortar is just a good removal spell. I don't think that Chandra is that good against green-white because he doesn't have a lot of one-toughness guys, but at the same time, it can team up with our burn spells to kill bigger creatures, and it's also just a source of card advantage, which I think we desperately need.
Yeah, I use a lot of Chandra +1s along with Mizium Mortars to kill Thundermaw Hellkites in the past, and you can also get Advent the same way.
Yep.
As for my sideboarding, I'm bringing in 3 Glares as ways to answer Boros Reckoner, Elspeth, and a Chain to the Rocks if it's happens to not be on an Advent of the Worm token. 2 Rootborn Defenses, which is just very good against decks that have a lot of removal spells, but also against an opponent where Advent is good. This just gives us extra ways to populate our Worm tokens.
Yep.
And then if Advent is good, Polykranos is obviously going to be good as well, just a 5/5 for 4. Doesn't have Trample, but it does actually give us a way to interact with Young Pyromancer outside of Banisher Priest. I'm cutting the Hydras and the Skylashers because he doesn't have islands in his deck. So as much as I like 2/2 Flash, can't be countered for 2, and some haste, X creatures, that's all they are against him. It's not as a way to actually pressure through his spells. And then Soldier of the Pantheon is just very unimpressive against decks with Young Pyromancer and Magma Jet. So
yeah, agreed.
That's how we're going.
All right, we are back for our first post-board game, and I am sincerely hoping for
a keepable 7.
Yeah, keepable 7, maybe a little bit better draws this time around. Oh, God. We are keeping this hand. Unfortunately, our mana is a little awkward. We have 2 of these bad boys in here, which is full, almost all the ones in the deck. But we can cast some spells, so we're definitely going to keep.
I'm going to keep as well. This hand isn't very exciting, but we are on the draw, and we do have some spells that we can cast, and we get to draw a card every turn.
All right, go.
Guildgate, go.
That's pretty lucky, that Guildgate. All right, we're going to play Young Pyromancer. You're up.
All right, well, that was a good draw. Fleece Main Lion, your turn.
Fleece Main Lion. Are we going to get thoroughly fleeced?
Yes.
Probably. So we're going to go ahead and use Mizium Orders to kill that.
All right.
That fine gentleman.
Don't forget your token.
And I'm going to bash in for 2.
18.
And I'm going to play a Sacred Foundry. You're up.
All right.
He has been banished.
Go ahead. I imagine this Banisher Priest is not long for this world. However,
Your imagining appears to be correct. We are going to play Magma Jets on that guy and scry 2. All right, well, we already have plenty of land, so we definitely don't want that land, but this spell is pretty good, especially with our plan of killing him with this thingy. So we are going to leave that on top, and oops, we'll put that other one on the bottom. And we're going to attack him for 1.
17.
You're up.
All right. So we'll play a land, and then we'll pass. This hand is not very exciting.
Interesting. He's passing here. I wonder if that means he has an Advent of the Worm.
Passing with 4 mana available.
Yeah. We're going to Lightning Strike him. We're going to get a little aggressive here. So drop him down to 14 and make another guy. Our plan is to just kill him. And we are going to hope that Stormbreath Dragon is good enough, man enough to get that job done. I don't want to send any of these in because he's just going to go ham with the Advent and eat our Young Pyromancer, but I will send in Stormbreath Dragon. Drop him down to 10, and I will pass the turn.
We will Advent.
And you get to trigger your Young Pyromancer.
I wish. Man, should I build a Pyromancer Advent of the Worm deck? I totally should. All right. So, unfortunately, I'm not able to do this because I would have to shock myself.
Seems good.
And then he would just kill me.
Better check yourself.
Although,
before you shock yourself.
Do 5. 10. I need to get into damage now. Ooh. Alright, so I think that our best bet here is just to hope to draw another one of these, to be honest. So I'm just going to attack.
Alright, I'm going to declare 0 blocks.
Yep.
Put me to 15.
And I'll play this tapped, and it'll be your turn.
Alright, so I would say chances are above average that he has another copy of Advent of the Worm.
But you could have another copy of Stormbreath Dragon, and then I would probably be dead.
I don't have another copy of Stormbreath Dragon, but I am going to actually send on in the entirety of my team here.
Well, I suppose you also could have a War Leader's Helix, and that would kill me too. But I will Advent.
I do have a response to Advent. I'm going to War Leader's Helix you and trigger my Young Pyromancer.
Alright, so that's going to put me at 6.
Yep, and me to 19.
Alright, and I'll get a worm.
Sure.
And then I'm dead.
Yep.
Alright, here we are for game 4. I will finally be on the play.
Woof. Good news, we're not getting skunked. We at least got a game out of him. So.
Now, I did make some changes on the play. I feel like I do want Unflinching Courage, and it could even be right on the draw. So I cut the last 2 soldiers and a Glare for the 3 Unflinching Courage.
Okay. And I want to note that I did not board in Wear Tear, and I'm not sure the reason being I didn't mention this, but I'm not sure I would board it in just naked against a deck like this. However, if I do see we haven't seen a Boon Satyr yet or anything like that, but if I do see a card like Boon Satyr, and if I see an Unflinching Courage, I'm definitely reaching back for my board to bring in Wear Tear. So if he ends up playing those cards in this game, I'm definitely going to board in the Wear Tears. Otherwise, I don't think I would just board them in the dark. So.
Well, the good news is I get to mulligan now that I'm on the play.
Whew. That is
unfortunate.
That's all right. That's fine. Yeah. It's part of Magic the Gathering. All right. So Chris mulled to 6, and we are actually keeping our 7 here. We have these two, which are a pretty nice little combination against his deck. And then I think this card is like really exceptional against him. Unfortunately, it is a bit slow, so it's possible that we don't quite get there, but I'm hoping that we do. So,
well, I'm going to keep the 6 because it has lands and spells, and it seems that my good fortune from the first 2 games is worn out.
Okay.
This hand is not good at all. But I'll play Guild Gate and pass.
All right, I am going to play a Mountain. Say go.
The Voice of Resurgence would be nice here. Not in the cards. Go ahead.
All right, Voice not out there. All right, that was a very good draw. Our last 2 draws have been pretty good. So we want to be able to use this along with this to make sure we hit land so we can cast these cards. So that's going to be our game plan here. We're going to play a Young Pyromancer and say go. We're going to hope that he doesn't kill it. He probably will. Nope, it's a forest. Okay.
And then I'll pass the turn.
All right, he's shipping the old turn. All right, we'll draw. All right, this is a good draw for us too. Basically just any mana source is good for us at this point. And what we're going to do is we're going to play a Plains. We're going to attack with the Young Pyromancer. He could potentially ambush it, but I think we're okay with that. So he is not going to ambush it.
18.
So he's at 18, and then we're going to follow it up with a Boros Reckoner.
Yep.
And you're up. All right, there's old Booney out and about.
Satyr.
Booning it up.
All right, well, I will attack.
All right, well, I don't really want to trade my Boros Reckoner for his Boon Satyr when Young Pyromancer can also trade for Boon Satyr, and Boros Reckoner can first strike to kill Boon Satyr when we have mana open. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and take 4 here and go to 16.
Go.
All right, he's going to try to fleece us again. All right, so we are going to, in our upkeep, Magma Jet his Boon Satyr, which is going to trigger our Pyromancer and let us scry before we draw. Again, we're still trying to hit the lands to cast this, so that's going to be what we're looking for. So we have, actually, man, these are really freaking good. I think we actually want to keep this card here because we might be able to just kill him. And this card can really help facilitate that along with the one we have in our hand. I don't think we care about this. So, yeah, I don't think we care about this card, so we're going to put that one on the bottom. We are going to put this on top and then draw it for turn. And then we're going to play a land, and we are going to Lightning Strike his guy, get another copy of Chris VanMeter, and then attack him for 5.
13.
You're up. So now we're just trying to get super aggressive. All right, Voice of Resurgence. And we'll draw. Okay, perfect. So we're going to play Temple of Triumph and Scry. And even though that's not the land that we're looking for, we are going to keep that on top because that fits our game plan perfectly. And we are then going to attack him with everything. All right, he's looking to trade with our Pyromancer, which I think we're fine with that at this point, but we are going to Lightning Strike him before damage so that we get another token.
Yep.
So it drops him to 10, and then from damage he goes to 5. And then Pyromancer's dead, and he gets an Evan Irwin. And you're up.
All right. Well, I feel like I'm just going to be dying to a dragon here very soon. But it's your turn.
All right. I feel like I'm like Nassif here. All right. Can we, before draw step, I'm going to tap my dragon mana, and hopefully we draw a dragon. All right. We did. All right. Let's get in with our guys.
It's almost like you scried it on top.
Yeah, it is a little bit like that.
And I'm dead.
All right.
Oh, why are you doing this to me? So if I had a forest, this hand would be awesome.
And
if I draw a forest, this hand is awesome.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you have a forest?
I do not have a forest.
All right.
But I have spells that require forests to cast. All right. Well, I'm actually just going to mulligan. I think this is actually a close keep. On the draw, I probably keep it, but I'm not going to keep it on the play.
I think that's definitely a mulligan, yeah.
Yes.
Wouldn't
results oriented.
Yeah, results oriented thinking right there. All right, so while he's shuffling up, I'm going to keep this hand? Question mark? So this hand is a little iffy. We got some pretty top end. I mean, we got some top shelf liquor in this hand, but we're definitely lacking like some of the water we need to get to that point. So I'm gonna hope to draw well. Hope to draw some good stuff. So.
Oh no! Every time you do, when you keep those hands.
I mean, this hand's fine. It's just not exciting.
The old one hand double Elspeth double dragon draw. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
I had 2 Elspeths in my opener last time.
Not surprised whatsoever. All right, let's see if this 6 is better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is not, but we're gonna keep anyways.
All right. Experiment Oon out and about.
I do want to point out that the fact that this is a human ooze is extremely disgusting, and it's weird that we are all okay with that in the Magic community.
That's true. That card is certainly dripping with flavor. All right, so all right, we have a choice here. We have a choice. We can play either of these 2 cards, and I don't know what is right because.
Are you gonna shock Chain of the Rocks my experiment?
No, because we want to draw a removal spell for that guy, but at the same time, I don't want to burn this too early because I don't know exactly what I'm trying to draw yet. I'm going to lead the Guild Gate. Boros Guild Gate, go. We're going to go for that. We're going to go that route. What you know about that Guild Gate? Taking it, 19.
Go.
All right. Maybe he won't play a creature for 3 turns. That would be sweet. Draw. Perfect. Perfect. Exactly what I was looking for. Young Pyromancer, go. The PZ is out and about.
Oh, of course. Why would I be able to cast it?
All right, he's sending on in with his Experiment 1. So that could mean he's willing to trade, which is probably pretty likely. Could also mean he has Celestia Charm. So our hand is pretty good going long, and I think I'm just actually willing to make this trade. So I'm going to block.
All right.
I don't know if that's right.
Definitely was a mistake to not play my land first, but I'll pass.
Okay. And we will draw. Okay, that's not a bad one. At this point, we just want to hit lands. So I'm going to play this temple that we had, and we're going to scry, and it is a land, and we're going to keep it on top, and we're going to pass the turn.
Go.
He's out there. All right. So we could play this, but it's just going to die to Pelucranos, so I think we're best getting him to the rocks. So he is gone. You're up.
All right, so another white sorcery point would be sweet. Your turn.
All right. Voice Resurgence. Draw. I kind of want to play this and just get it out there. But I could also play this. It's hard to say. Like, playing this lets us hopefully hit the lands in like subsequent turns for these. So yeah, we're gonna go with that. We're gonna play Chandra. And I'm going to do 1 damage to you and 1 damage to the voice.
19.
You're up. Hopefully our Chandra does not die.
All right, we're going to attack the Chandra.
Okay. She's at 3.
And then I'm just going to pass the turn.
All right, so he probably has Advent. I think would be a pretty safe bet since he's not casting anything. All right, so we drew a land, which means we don't really need to use Chandra 0 this turn. But it actually might be better to still use the 0 ability just in case we hit another land. We can use it. So, and I don't think the +1 does that much. So I'm actually still going to use the 0 ability. Boros Reckoner. Okay, I think we'll actually go ahead and cast that, and we'll play a land. I was going to cast this, but I think casting Boros Reckoner is actually fine, and we'll pass the turn then.
And step.
All right, so he has a Boon Satyr. Okay. It's definitely better for us than Advent.
Okay. So I think that at this point, just like being stuck on lands and colored mana is really hurting us. And we can't really push through anything against that Boros Reckoner yet. So I think that we just kind of have to play this and hope that he does not have an Anger of the Gods.
Okay.
And attacking doesn't really do much because he can first strike his Boros Reckoner. And I'll pass the turn.
Okay. All right, we will draw a card. It is not a land, so I will 0 Chandra again. Stormbreath Dragon.
How cute.
Very cute. So I think we win a long game, definitely, based on how powerful our hand is. So I think I'm just going to play Stormbreath Dragon and leave it on defense, and just try to basically grind him out at this point. And say go.
Alright, so a white source would be nice here. That is definitely not a white source. Alright. So I think that now is the time to use this. So I imagine from the way he's playing, he has Elspeth's of Plenty in his hand. I'm not quite sure how we're supposed to get through it. So I think that I actually just want to cast this guy. And then I'll pass.
Okay. That is a lot of Voice of Resurgence. Alright, to draw a card.
Wish I had a Mortipod.
Fortunately, this doesn't do a whole lot because of all those voices. So I actually think we might want to start getting aggressive at this point. That might be a mistake, but our hands actually has a lot of damage potential, so I don't know. I think that might be playing a little too aggressively.
You should overload Museum Orders.
Yeah, it seems pretty good. I think I am going to attack with Stormbreath, though, and start that process. So
I cannot block.
All right, so drop him to 15.
Maybe this is why I should have kept in my Skylasher so I could block your Storm Breath Dragon.
And play a Plains.
Don't plan on 0 and Elspeth here?
I'm going to play Elspeth.
Or Chandra?
No, I think at this point, I want to start actually doing damage to you. So I'm going to start actually... I'm going to start actually plussing. So I'm going to do 1 to you.
14.
And because I think we're actually in a position where we might be able to start racing. So I'm just going to pass the turn now. Because like he has to try to kill our planeswalkers, or he's just going to die to them, which means we might be able to turn the tide and start like attacking him and win the race that way.
Okay.
Since our hand represents a lot.
So that draw doesn't really do a whole lot for us. I suppose I can try and attack Elspeth. Then he can just block with his Boros Reckoner. Yeah. So if I attack Elspeth, he can put Reckoner here. And then just, put a soldier, and let her take 2. Maybe he just puts a soldier on each. Then if I can pump... Yeah. I'll send everything at Elspeth.
Okay. All right, everything else, but so he's probably got like a Celestia Charm here. Would be a pretty safe bet. So I guess the key here is to figure out what our best blocks are to play around Celestia Charm.
Or you could just let her die.
Could just let her die. So, yeah. I think because we have this card in our hand right here, we have a good opportunity to really do some damage to him. So I'm actually going to block a Voice of Resurgence with a Reckoner. Double block this guy and then block that guy. We're going to block like this.
Let's see here. Okay, so Elspeth will take 2. If I don't do anything, I will get 2 elementals. Alright, actually I'm fine with that.
Okay.
So Elspeth will take 2.
She's down to 3.
This guy's going to die.
That guy's going to die. I'm going to deal 2 damage to this guy.
Alright. So I'm going to get 3 elementals. And my Boon Satyr will stay. Then I'll pass the turn.
Alright, so that's probably means he has Rootborn defenses if he passes the turn like that. Which is a little unfortunate for us. If he didn't have Rootborn defenses, we'd be in very good shape with this card. But since he does, we have to change our line a little bit. Let's see. Is it 14? Do 4. Probably do...
You can -3 Elspeth if you'd like.
I could do that. I think we actually can maybe kill him this turn.
It'd be almost as good as casting a Boros Charm into a Judge's Familiar. I wonder who could have done that.
All right, I'm going to shock myself. This could be a stupid line of play, but I'm going to go ahead and just monstrous my Stormbreath Dragon right now. Hopefully this isn't a costly line.
So that's going to put me at 10. And then you can attack with a dragon and a reckoner for 10. +1 the Chandra. Wow, this is actually really interesting now. So if I do this now, and you get to make all your guys. Alright, so if I do this now, take 3 and go to 11, but still 10, 11. Huh. This is actually, this is really awesome.
I think that this line of play gets him. I'm pretty sure he's. I don't think there's anything like. So there's a number of things he could have here. If he has Rootborn Defenses, which we're pretty sure he has based on the way he played, he can cast it now to take a less damage from Stormbreath Dragon, but he has to block the Reckoner, and he would just die. Because he would take 3, which would drop him to 11. We would do 1 with Chandra, which would put him at 10, and then this is 10 damage. So casting Rootborn Defenses kills him. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure like there's only one line of play he can make that doesn't kill him. If it depends on if he has it in his hand or not.
So take 3, 11, still at 10. I actually think that I'm just dead here regardless.
Oh yeah, I think you actually are, right?
I have a charm and a Rootborn Defenses.
Yeah, the charm is the other thing because you can't cast the charm before this ability resolves.
Because then you can +1.
I can use Chandra to make it not block.
Yeah, so ultimately I'm taking an extra point of damage, which kills me.
Yep.
From the dragon. Because I can't cast it now. I have to wait for you to attack. Then I can do it.
But then I get to deal 2 to you.
And then I take 9, go to 1, and then the
Chandra can kill you. Yep.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean I have both of them. I'm just stuck on a Banisher Priest the whole game.
Yeah, I assumed as much. Yeah. All right, we are here for the conclusion. Myself, 2 Chains, was able to successfully defeat
the green-white deck.
Yes.
Looks like the CVM token was able to best the Evan Irwin token today on the Fields of Battle.
It was. As
much to my dismay, actually.
Yeah. CVM, unfortunately, died to his own token, which brings me great joy. In fact, I can't wait to die to my own token in some upcoming Legacy tournaments. So.
Well, I'm sure it'll happen.
Yeah. But yeah, 2 Chains was able to go the distance. We got a penguin pin holding up those penguin sleeves, which were able to defeat the zombie sleeves. So pretty awesome.
What do you think about the deck? Got off to a rocky start, able to improve the deck with the sideboard, plus some pretty good draws, able to pull it out. Do you think the deck is something that could be a contender, or is it just a flash in the pan?
I think it could be, yeah. It has a lot of interesting things going for it, and after the first 2 games I was obviously a little skeptical, but my draws weren't particularly good, and my draws were much better in games 3, 4, and 5. And I got to see a little bit more about how the deck can perform, and I like it a lot. Young Pyromancer was extremely impressive for me, especially in this matchup where you're not really killing it.
Yeah, against a deck that can actually kill it, he seems very good.
Yeah, just being able to go Pyromancer on 2, and then it actually let me play a much more aggressive game plan than I was expecting. Mm-hmm. I'd sided out my Chandra's Phoenixes because I expected to play a much more grindy game plan. Game 5 was a good example of that. But yeah, like some of those games, I was able to just like play a Pyromancer, like kill 2 creatures, all like while hitting you for increasing amounts of damage, and then put you in a position where a dragon just kills you.
Yeah, I definitely felt that. It felt like games where even if I had a Banisher Priest on 3 after you played the Pyromancer, like you would just kill it, not get a token, and then just keep making more tokens.
Yeah, and in fact that happened the one game where I was able to go like, Pyromancer, Boros Reckoner, kill your Banisher Priest, etc. So yeah, I think the deck's pretty sweet. Elspeth was awesome. Chandra was actually surprisingly pretty good, even though I couldn't really kill any of your guys. Just the ability to generate like a steady stream of card advantage was important.
Yeah, like especially since you get to sit behind the Reckoner. Like I feel like that game would have been a lot different had I had a second white source or a glare for the Reckoner. But I mean that's what happens. Sometimes your opponent doesn't have it, and your powerful cards get to stay powerful.
Yeah, I agree, and I think while I had a plethora of removal spells in my hand to kill your Banisher Priest, the tempo would have been pretty important.
Yeah.
And the one reason why I was keeping back the Stormbreath Dragon is for that. Like, I can block any of the voices, and I don't have to worry about a Celestia Charmer or Boon Satyr because Stormbreath is pro-white. And, I felt like I was winning the long game, so it was important to hold back on defense and set it up until I could get to a point where I felt stable enough to start attacking you. Like, when I finally was able to get the Elspeth down, I started to feel that I was stable enough to begin attacking you. Even if you were able to banish your priest, I still had 3 soldiers to block with. So
yeah, Elspeth is real good.
Yeah, very good. But yeah, what were your thoughts on the green-white deck?
The deck actually seems very good. It was very apparent from the first 2 games that pre-board against most decks, I feel like it's going to be just very powerful. And you're even hedging towards the blue matchups with Skylashers and Mistcutter Hydras in the main deck.
Right, and I think the blue matchup is probably one of the matchups that's kind of a little bad, which is why having those cards is important.
Absolutely. I felt like I might have sideboarded a little too conservatively, I guess, just not keeping the deck as aggressive as I possibly could, but I honestly don't know. I haven't played with the green-white deck very much, but it definitely was fun. It felt very powerful, and Craig Wesco has been a big proponent of the deck. Andrew Shroud has played it. I believe this is the 2nd time he's played it. He top-8'd the Standard Open at the Invitational, and then he also...
No, he top-8'd the Invitational.
Oh, yeah, top-8'd the Invitational with it, and then he just recently top-8'd this tournament with it as well.
Yeah, so he's played it in... I don't know if he's played it in more tournaments than that, but he's had at least 2 fairly consecutive strong finishes with the deck. And to my knowledge, there's not a lot of people playing it.
Yeah.
So, small number of people playing it, but still putting up good results. Probably just a very good under-the-radar deck at this point.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, I agree. Like, your draws were not great in games 3 through 5, so we didn't, unfortunately, get to see, a lot of interactive battles in the post-board games, but the draws that you had the first 2 games just showcase, how powerful it is. Like, I just had no way to win.
Yeah,
you just overpowered me, and there was nothing I could do. Like, even if I had a good draw, I don't think I could win. So that deck is definitely very powerful. It's kind of weird that the mana is actually a little gross in a 2-color deck.
Yeah, like you have Banisher Priest is such an important card in the deck that needs double white to cast, and then you get into a lot of situations where you want to be able to cast multiple spells a turn, and almost every spell in the deck needs white mana. So it almost feels like there should be a couple more planes than forests. But then again, you have Experiment 1, which is much better than Soldier of the Pantheon. So
yeah, and it's kind of like that deck runs into the classic limited problem where you draft this awesome limited deck, but you have double red on 3, double black on 3, and you just get those hands where it's mountain, swamp, but all your double black spells, and it just doesn't work out. And because this deck only has 2 dual lands, you run into that situation where you just you have a bunch of forests and plains, and you can't cast Boon Satyr. But if you had a Banisher Priest, you could cast it. Or you have a Banisher Priest, but you only have 1 plains, and you could cast Boon Satyr, but you don't have it, and so forth. So,
unfortunately, that's the price you pay when you got these powerful cards. Maybe it's right to try and skew it, more towards one color or not. But regardless, the deck has been performing, and it's something to be aware of when you're testing and getting ready for tournaments like the Open this weekend in Orlando, Florida.
Yep.
So for any of you that happen to be with us in Indianapolis this last weekend, it will be a nice change of weather to go down to Florida.
Probably won't be in the negatives. Probably.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. I guess it could be. I won't rule it out. But yeah, both these decks seem pretty cool, and I would definitely recommend giving either one of them a shot if it's something that you think you're interested in, because I think they're both powerful. And most importantly, I think they're pretty fun to play too. So
yeah, especially if you have any of these new sweet 1/1 red elemental tokens, definitely play some of the Young Pyromancer. You want to get your mileage worth out of them.
Yeah, and I would be happy to sign any number of Chris VanMeter tokens. So you can always have me sign them for him. So
fair enough. Yeah. So again, as always, guys, please feel free to leave any comments or suggestions in the comments field of the video. We do read everything, take everything to heart, and implement any suggestions that we feel need to be made, as well as if you have any recommendations or requests for matchups, please feel free to let us know, because sometimes we like to play what people want to see.
Yeah, and I think moving forward, we'd like to play maybe some Legacy or coming up as a Modern Grand Prix, so we're probably going to want to play some Modern at some point. So if you have any good ideas for what decks you want to see in those formats, please let us know that as well. We don't do a lot of those videos, so we're probably going to try to stick to some of the more popular decks. But if there's any popular deck that you feel is being overlooked, or you want to see, let us know about those formats as well, because we may play those in upcoming videos.
Absolutely. And this video should be going up alongside a first new piece of content for you as well.
Right.
So our videos, the BBD versus CVM, is always going to be on the select side, but Brian has been doing so well with writing his articles that his articles are going to be going to the premium side. So unfortunately, you won't be able to read his articles alongside the versus videos unless you get premium, and now there's even more reason to have it. It was such an awesome value beforehand, but now you get to read BBD's articles that will be even extra special now that they're on the premium side.
Probably be about the same amount of special, to be honest, but yeah, definitely check that out if that interests you.
Perfect. So again, guys, thanks so much for stopping by and watching me get my butt kicked by my own tokens. This is CVM.
And this is 1.5 Chains.
1.5 Chains. See you guys next week.